So, admittedly, 2016 sucked, and I'm sure a lot of you agree. A lot of shitty things happened, both in my personal life and around the world, but it wasn't all that bad. Everything has its positives and its negatives, and this year was no different. For one thing, I got this beautiful car not too long ago, and it's been absolutely amazing. Haven't had much problems with it, and, traveling has been pretty good. Other than that, the gaming scene has been wonderful. A lot of great games have come out this year. Usually when things seem bleak, you can expect the gaming scene to actually be pretty good. These are the top 10 games of 2016.
Coming at you!
To start off this list, we have a very unusual game, though the fact that it's unusual doesn't make it bad in any way. Superhot is an indie FPS that moves when you move. Yeah, that's the whole idea of the game. It's all about challenge, as you need to incorporate the game's weaponry, abilities, and even the slow motion to survive, because it's one hit and dead. Fortunately, it's the same for the bad guys. Unfortunately, there's not much content to go by, and that's really the game's only real flaw. For what it offers, it definitely delivers. It's just a shame it leaves me wanting more. Superhot represents the indie genre well, and it's a great game overall. I'm happy to have it start my first top 10 games of the year at number 10. Yep. Boy. Nothing like a good old demon murder fest, am I right?
Hell yeah!
So, admittedly, I've never been well associated with the Doom franchise. What? I'm young. That's not really an excuse, but yeah, there's no denying its greatness. Doom 4, Doom 2016, or simply just Doom, shows off that greatness well. It's actually relatively simple, just kill, kill, kill. You're given a huge arsenal of weapons to be able to do so, and don't fret about running out of ammo, just rip an enemy apart and watch all that ammo rain out the body. The single player campaign was surprisingly well done for a game so simplistic, and no complaints there. The multiplayer changes everything. You go from Uwe Boll's Rampage to a game of tag. It's not bad, it's just common sense, you know? Anyway, to be honest, Doom did exceed my expectations for it. I knew it was going to be a great game, considering what I said earlier. I just didn't think it would be one of the best games of the year. But it is, and it'll take its spot at number 9. World War I? How is it even possible to make a game about it? I mean, it's just a trench war, right? Well, that's been proven wrong. At least to me, it happened when I first played the beta. So yeah, Battlefield 1 is a new look for not just the Battlefield series, but for the first-person genre as a whole. In an age where most FPSs are either modern day or future, it feels fresh to see a historic war again, and not your usual World War II game, but it's World War I, something that's rarely ever done. The great aspects of Battlefield games are present here, and by that I mean the epic scale of the multiplayer. Every part of the 1910s war setting was adapted so well. The game also introduces an actual good campaign narrative this time, which is something that hasn't been seen since maybe Bad Company 2. Honestly though, Battlefield 1 is a huge improvement over the mediocrity that was the last few Battlefield or Battlefield style games. It definitely earns its spot at number 8 on this list. Well, that's the 4th FPS in a row. What can I say? The genre did well this year. Anyway, Deus Ex Mankind Divided is great. It combines the FPS genre with the RPG in an amazing fashion. And while story is a downgrade from the whole conspiracy stuff from previous Deus Ex titles, it makes up with a well-polished gameplay and design. Mankind Divided has you put your skills as a tactician to the test. You have the choice to handle your mission stealthily or go in guns blazing. Hell, you can even go through without killing a single person, even some of the bosses. Deus Ex is definitely one of the best RPG franchises out there. Along with Human Revolution and the others, Mankind Divided definitely adds to it. It deserves its spot at number 7. Okay, so I'm gonna admit here, as I did with Doom, I'm not a veteran of the Final Fantasy franchise. I personally never really saw RPGs to be too fun in my childhood. I did play them, but never much past Pokemon. After Kingdom Hearts though, I developed more of a liking for the genre, but never decided on exploring it. So you can excuse me when I say, Final Fantasy 15 is my first ever Final Fantasy game. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. The combat open world and the characters that live in it really shine bright. It has a story I can't really get behind, but just like Deus Ex, I can get by with the other factors. It is completely unfamiliar territory for me as I explore just design choices and methods of doing things that have been done numerous times. By that I'm obviously talking about the driving. It did allow me to get settled in though, and because of that, I can't wait to explore more of it and the rest of the series. Final Fantasy 15 drives its way to number 6. It's Dark Souls. You can always be sure it's on a top 10 list somewhere, and not to be like everyone else, but it's gonna be here. I'm sure by now we all know what makes a Dark Souls game great. A gorgeously designed world filled to the brim with beasts ready to kill you, action-adventure RPG gameplay that keeps you on your toes. Oh, and you will die. But the idea is not just running through the game and hoping for the best. It's about pushing your limits, conquering that fuckboy of a boss that has killed you time and time again, and feel accomplished about it. Dark Souls 3 is no exception to that. It brings back all the good elements while adding its own spices to the mix. These beasts don't play. Do not be deterred by the difficulty, however. Just know that unlike the dick-headed community, I believe in you, and you will eventually get good. Dark Souls 3 takes its spot at number 5. And in a swift turn of events, we look not to the consoles or the PC, but instead the 3DS. I can already tell how many dislikes I'll get for putting Pokemon above Dark Souls and Battlefield, but my thought with that is, it's my list, so fuck off. Anyway, Pokemon Sun and Moon, or Gen 7, is a refreshing take on the Pokemon franchise. It keeps the main elements of every gen since the first. Pokemon battles are looking far better, and the island of Alola looks and feels incredible. Oh, Executor. To the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on. The change from the gym battles to the island challenge is the most refreshing thing in this game. I felt welcome to it, and I didn't really think about wanting to go back to the old way while doing them. Sun and Moon gave me an amazing time and an incentive to sit back and play for almost a whole day, as I did with Pokemon Blue back in 2014. What? Where do you think Blue.tv came from? Anyway, Pokemon Sun and Moon battles its way to number 4. Another indie title for the list, and it's just so amazing. Inside is one of the more creative games from this year. If you've ever played Limbo, you have quite an idea of what Inside is like. It's not an FPS, TPS, or an RPG. It's a puzzle platformer. The whole idea of the game is to run, to escape. This is a dystopian universe and you're caught in the middle. The gameplay is simple, but level design makes it so much more than that. It has to be some of the best design I've ever seen in a video game. Indie titles deserve plenty of recognition like AAA titles do, and just like Superhot at the start of my list, Inside gets plenty of that by earning number 3 on my list. Positively electrifying. Overwatch is a new animal in the FPS genre. Instead of being your typical online shooting game, it takes its place alongside Team Fortress 2. It's a class-based FPS, but more than just being the sniper, the pyro, or the heavy gunner, you are Genji, Hanzo, Tracer, Bastion, Mercy, Roadhog, Lucio, and many more. There are all sorts of characters, each with their own weapons and abilities. So rather than customizing your arsenal to suit your needs, it will take mastering a character at your own discretion, much like Smash Bros. And other fighting games. The game doesn't offer a whole lot, and it seems bad, but it's actually not really that bad. Each experience will be different because it all depends on how the game is played. Working as a team is the best way to go, and switching to other characters in order to serve your team is strongly recommended. Overwatch is the type of game that is meant to grow as time passes. Sure, it may be a ripoff to get something smaller for full price, but in the long run it is worth it. It's an incredibly fun experience and it's not dying anytime soon. Overwatch won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, but it's not it for me. There is one game that I found to deserve it much more. Its well-deserved spot is at number 2. As usual guys, let's give a little love to the games that couldn't make the list. Was there really any doubt? Well, I mean, some of the games on the list had a huge chance, but to me none could do better than Naughty Dog's masterpieces, the Uncharted games. The first, second, and third were all incredible games, and the fourth had no intentions of disappointment. This was one to conclude Nathan Drake's illustrious story, and it did it with a bang. The story mode is one of the best stories of all time, and the levels were made bigger and better. Dull moments are at an absolute low. The multiplayer is different from Uncharted 3's multiplayer, being more simplistic, but it does add its own assets to avoid being a simple copy and paste. Plus, goddamn, it's 60 FPS all the way. Uncharted 4 definitely earns the title of Best Game of 2016, and in all honesty, also one of the best games of all time. I can recognize a masterpiece when I see one, and this is truly a masterpiece. My 2016 Game of the Year is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. So that concludes the top 10 games of 2016. A lot of good games have been released this year, and that's a pretty good legacy for an otherwise down year. Here's to hoping that 2017 has a lot of great things, both personally and in the gaming community. Anyway guys, that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next video. Hopefully with a better camera. Peace.